listening to Give God 90, where we're not afraid of the tough biblical questions, because we will dig through the language, the culture, and the history to find the truth revealed in the words of our Creator.
Hello, everybody. We're certainly glad that you chose to spend some time with us today. You usually say something there, which is why I paused.
Hello, everyone. Sorry, we're just listening to the live.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there is a little bit of a delay there, but that's okay. I don't know what the weather was like in your part of the world today, but here we actually had a decent day. It was kind of the calm before the storm.
It was awesome.
So we got some things accomplished. If you like what you hear, the share buttons and the like buttons and all those good things work really, really well to help other people hear us as well. So if you haven't been to GiveGod90.com lately, you might want to check that out. If you're new, we thank you for, just listening in. If you've been here for a while, we thank you for your support. Before I get started today, I did something today that gave me a little bit of satisfaction.
I
don't know if you have ever had the experience of going through a deceased parent. How do I want to say that? When a parent dies and you go through some of their belongings and you find something and you go, I wonder what this was. Well, my father he considered himself a woodworker, and he was okay. But he had this thing, and for 10 years, I've looked at it every once in a while and went, I know it goes to something, but I don't know what it goes to. So after about 10 years and several minutes on the internet, well, actually searching through some old Stanley tool catalogs, I figured out what it was. And something that simple can be so satisfying when you're trying to figure out what it is. People that know me know I'm a little tenacious about such things anyway, but just one of those things that, simple things give you pleasure. And I've heard other people say, my mother had this. I don't have any idea what it's supposed to do. I didn't either. I've heard other people, so-and-so had this. And every once in a while, there's a thing on YouTube, Mr. Pete, your internet shop teacher, if you ever watch him, he has people send him oddities and tool-related oddities. And, he figures out what they are most of the time. There's enough people out there, still enough old people out there that know what the old stuff is. Just one of those things that, simple pleasures, simple things for simple minds, I guess. Okay. What I'm going to talk about tonight really is not about the end of the world. I'm simply using that scenario to hopefully cause you to think. Because sometimes when I read something kind of odd, I wonder how many other people might think it's odd as well. We read things and it's like, why? And I can't be the only person in the world asking why. So today I want to kind of tie some things together. And if you haven't heard about what I'm going to talk about, that's okay. If you don't care, I hope it can be at least a little entertaining. But if you're like me and you wonder how some of these things fit in Scripture, what I'm going to look at today might make you think just a little bit. And I'm not going to tell you what to think or how to think. Just going to give you some things to think about. Now, most of you know, several months ago now, I left Facebook behind and haven't looked back, haven't regretted that decision. Although I do miss some of the people. And yeah, marketplace. It's kind of like an online yard sale. Anyway, Mark Zuckerberg, who famously began Facebook, said in 2015 that he wanted to give away most of his wealth while he was alive. And apparently he's had a slight change of heart. He and, well, honestly, many other wealthy people are purchasing some prime property in the state of Hawaii. Now, Zuckerberg, however, is reported as spending $270 million in Hawaii. I believe it's on 1,400 acres to build a complex. Now, in this complex, he will build a 5,000 square foot underground bunker for the cost of $100 million. Well, I guess he is kind of giving his money away to the people who are building it, sort of, if you want to think about it that way. But, don't think for a minute he's the only one doing this. There are some well-known people doing exactly the same thing, okay? The question, though, in my mind, is why Hawaii? And the answer is pretty easy to figure out. Hawaii is a chain of islands surrounded by the Pacific Ocean, very far from any mainland, especially mainland the USA. And let's face it, if things get tough here on the mainland and you don't want to be around the hordes of people who are doing what hordes of people do, well, you go somewhere else. And Hawaii is very restricted. It will be very limited travel there. So you're not going to get caught up in like the swarms of the refugees who might be knocking on your door. You're not going to get caught up in the turmoil that might happen on the mainland. Not saying it's going to, not saying it's not going to. We already know it will. It says so right there in the Bible. Hawaii, though, being isolated, where, you might be able to just wait out some of the looters and the swarms of refugees. And, and eventually they're no longer going to be a problem, right? Well, maybe not so fast. You see, there's a problem, especially for these wealthy people. They have staff. They have people that work for them all the time. The people that work for them have families. Their families have families, right? Their loyalty might just end when, the tough get, when things get tough, when the going gets tough. Folks like the security force might get a little tougher. His security force might decide, this looks like a good place for my family. We could stay down here for a long time. Not really sure he's thought this through that well. Okay. Loyalty might be able to be bought, but when the money runs out, so does the loyalty. And while some other wealthy folks are being a little more discreet, they're not letting the cat out of the bag. There's a great deal of speculation about who might be included in the what we could call the Under the Island Paradise Bunker Club. And I'm not going to go into who they might be. That's all speculation. However, there's a bigger problem. In fact, there's a much bigger problem. You see, you can maybe hide from looters, you can hide from refugees, but you can't hide from the Creator. It just doesn't work like that. There's a pretty good description of this in Isaiah if you want to read that.
Go into the caves of the cliffs, dig holes and hide in the ground. Hide from the anger of the Lord and from his great power. Proud people will stop being proud. They will bow low with shame. At that time, only the Lord will still be praised. The Lord of heaven's army has a certain day planned. On that day, he will punish the proud and those who brag. They will no longer be important. He will bring down the tall cedar trees from Lebanon. He will destroy the great oak trees of Bashan. He will destroy all the tall mountains and the high hills. He will knock down every tall tower and every high, strong wall. He will sink all the trading ships, and he will destroy the beautiful ships. At that time, proud people will stop being proud. They will bow low with shame, and at that time only the Lord will be praised. But all the idols will be gone. People will run to caves in the rocky cliffs. They will dig holes and hide in the ground. They will hide from the anger of the Lord and his great power. They will do this when the Lord stands to shake the earth. At that time, people will throw away their gold and silver idols. They made these idols for themselves to worship, but they will throw them away to the bats and the moles. Then the people will hide in caves and in the cracks in the rocks. They will hide from the anger of the Lord and his great power. They will do this when the Lord stands to shake the earth. You should stop trusting in people who save you. People are only human. They aren't able to help you. Isaiah 2, verses 10 through 22.
So, Zuck, I hope you're hearing that proud people will stop being proud if they survive the people they hire to take care of them. You know, think about that. The proud people will be made low. Run to the cliffs, run to the caves, go hide in your bunker. You know, all the security people that you have, they have families. All the cooks, the cleaning people, they have families. Doesn't matter how much money you have on that day. They're going to throw away their gold, their silver, and everything else. You will no longer be proud. You're no longer going to be one of the elite. You know, status as we know it will change dramatically. You know, the only one who is going to matter on that day is the Creator when he stands up and says, I've had enough. Now, and I'm going to say this sarcastically, for the satisfaction of the revelation-only eschatology crowd, go ahead and read that next passage.
And when I saw the Lamb open the sixth seal, there was a great earth shake, and the sun became black like sackcloth of goat's hair, and the whole moon turned blood red, and the stars of the sky fell to the earth like unripe figs dropping from a tree shaken by a great wind. The sky receded like a scroll being rolled up, and every mountain and island was moved from its place. Then the kings of the earth, the nobles, the commanders, the rich, the mighty, and every slave and free man hid in the caves and among the rocks of the mountains. And they said to the mountains and the rocks, Fall on us and hide us from the face of the one who's seated on the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb. For the great day of his wrath has come, and who is able to withstand it? Revelations chapter 6, verses 12 through 17.
I've said before, I can basically teach Revelation without ever opening the book of Revelation, because all of that is in other places, and some of it comes straight from Isaiah. I said this wasn't about the end of the world, and I really using these passages to point out something far more important for us today, and that is simply this. It doesn't matter how much money you have or don't have. Doesn't matter how much food and water you have stored up. Doesn't matter how much ammunition you may have or how many survival skills you might have. A good friend of ours says you simply can't out-prep tribulation. and you can't. No matter how prepared you are, you cannot out-prepare our Creator. He's going to have his way, and he said so. Psalm 115:3. Our God is in heaven. He does as he pleases. Sounds pretty straightforward, doesn't it? Isaiah 46:10, declaring the end from the beginning and from the ancient times, the things that are not yet done, saying, my counsel will stand, and I will do as I please. You can't out-prep judgment. In today's English, this is our Creator saying, this is my universe. I'll do as I darn well please. He made it. He can do whatever he wants to with it. In Amos 10:8, we read, the high places of wickedness will be destroyed. It is the sin of Israel. Thorns and thistles will overgrow their altars. Then they will say to the mountains, cover us, to the hills, fall on us, as they crawl into their underground bunkers and lock the door. You see, the problem with an underground bunker is it doesn't matter how much food and how much water you've got down there, you've got to have a fresh air supply. And when somebody decides to cover that up, there's nothing you can do. You're stuck. They just take a bulldozer, cover you over, and move on. And you can eat and drink and suffocate. Now, regular listeners know I often come up with that last question. So here it is. I'm not going to let you down. Have you been building a secret bunker and trying to hide it under somewhere where maybe you're the only one that knows where it's at? Not physically, not digging a hole in your backyard. It's not what I'm talking about. Have you been digging a bunker in your heart that you think you can hide things from the Creator? How long do you think you can survive there when things get tough? How long can you crawl inside yourself and stay there? How long can you breathe the stagnant air of sin and pain and remorse? Are you unwilling to stay down there and are you willing, I should say, are you ready to just stay there and get covered up? Be suffocated? Or are you willing to change? If you're willing to change, if you're really, really, really willing to repent and change, maybe you're willing to do something that Mark Zuckerberg has promised but hasn't done yet. Give away what you think what makes you happy in exchange for a better life. Give away your sin, your addiction, your whatever. You can be in poverty, not have a penny to your name. But if you're willing to give your sin to your Creator, He's willing to help you build a better life. You don't need to turn your secret bunker that's in your heart into your own tomb. You have the chance to change, but the choice is yours. You can't just sit idly by and be proud because, what's it say in Isaiah? Proud people will stop being proud. They will bow low with shame. Because on that day, the only one being praised is not the one with the biggest bank account, not the one with the deepest hole, not the one with the yacht so big that he gets upset when he has to moor that boat with the oil tankers. I guess when a yacht's that big, it's called a ship, isn't it? Are you willing to turn yourself around, to give those things away, leave your past behind, and move on? That's the question. See, you can dig a hole. It doesn't matter how much money you have. You don't even need any. Anybody can dig a hole. What are you going to do with it? What are you going to put in there? I know that a few years ago in the United States, there was this big thing on television about how fancy a bunker can you build. And these companies, they really expanded for a couple of years, and they were putting all these fancy bunkers in. And then all of a sudden, people realized, wait a minute. If I go in here and somebody finds my fresh air intake, they can plug it up. What do I do then? Because even in a 5,000 square foot enclosed space, you've only got so many days to live before the oxygen runs out. Maybe you've already crawled inside the bunker of your heart. Maybe the air is running out. It hasn't been covered over yet. You still have time to open the door. You still have time to change. As long as you can still hear what I'm saying. It's when you stop hearing what I'm saying, it's too late. Anyway, not telling you what to think, giving you something to think about. Until Monday.
Until Monday.
Think long and hard about where you're going to spend your last few hours. Many, many, many blessings, everyone.
Be blessed all.